Hi, welcome. I know we've had a couple people just come in, and excited to have everyone here today. I love it when speakers start on time and end on time. So we're just going to go ahead and start, and whoever's coming in as we go, we'll just roll with it. I'm Katrina Mitchell. I'm the Chief Matchmaker of Franchise Speakers. Just delighted that you're here with us today. And today's Speak Spark session, we're going to be talking with the wonderful Michelle Rowan from Franchise Business Review. And Franchise Business Review has a new study. So first of all, let me just welcome you, Michelle. Welcome.
Thank you, Katrina. So happy to see you and chat with you.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. It's always our pleasure. So today we're going to talk about the how does your brand rank in the franchising at work survey and awards. Franchise Business Review started franchising at work, launched it in 2019. We're just getting ready to go with the 2021 survey. And Michelle, I want to just do a brief introduction about your background. I'm sure everyone on this call knows you and knows who you are, but for those of you who don't, Michelle is the president and CEO of Franchise Business Review. She has worked with over, I love this number, 1,100 franchisors. I'm sure it's more than that, actually, measuring feedback from franchisees and corporate employees to utilize internally and with teams to understand what they are doing well and where there is room for improvement and how they support their people. And I think that's just, both of those are really important. In addition, FBR, Franchise Business Review, helps clients use the data to attract new people to their brands, provide realistic expectations of what it's like to be a franchisee of the business or be part of their teams. And a random side note, I love this about Michelle. She also co-owns a brewery. I can't even say the word. How do you say the word, Michelle?
Brewery,
a tasting room with her husband. How fun is that? I love it. All right, Michelle, I'm gonna jump off.
I'm going to be honest with you. It's not fun these days. It's very stressful.
I bet. Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump off a video and turn it over to you and let you walk us through franchising at work.
Okay. So I first would love to say I love feedback. So I would love to have you guys asking me questions. There's a chat box that you can use, and I usually like to just ask everyone to throw something in the chat box so that I know that you're awake and paying attention. So how about if you send me in the chat box your favorite drink, and it can be an alcoholic drink or a mocktail of your choice, but just making sure everyone's awake. So that's number one, and I'm watching my chat box. The second is that I never will pretend to have all the answers. So if you guys have questions for me, there it is, people are answering. I am happy to find out the answer for you after. So you'll have my email address after this, and we love sharing data. We love franchising. And so I'm happy to answer any questions I can here or just find out what you guys need to know. So I'm Michelle Rowan. Thank you, Katrina, for that very nice introduction. I'm sure there's lots of people here that don't know who I am. So Franchise Business Review, I think most people know FBR from the franchisee satisfaction work that we do. As Katrina mentioned, we've worked with a lot of brands doing that. We actually make our franchisee research that we do open to any brand that has 10 franchisees or more to participate. And we have a free option to do that because we think it's really important that franchisors know this information. And we also think it's important when we put out our awards list that it's based on the franchise relationship and not who's growing the fastest or who's paying us the most money. So first question I always get is, then how does FBR make money? If you want, the free version is a very high level look at the data that we collect. Your information is only used in aggregate, and then we have a paid option, which gives you the option to customize more, add phone calls. You get all the information back. So it's really, the full version gives you a lot more insight, but we really want franchisors to ask these questions. Been around for 16 years. And I think what is important to us is that if you don't have a franchise model that has a strong relationship with your franchisees, with your employees, with the people that support your brand, and you don't have unit level economics, you need to stop franchising, get your house in order before you move forward. And I think it's easier for people to understand that now, that validation will make or break every deal you have. So if you are spending money to market your brand, if you're bringing candidates or employees in and then they talk to your current franchisees or employees and hear a not so happy tale of what your culture is like, it will impact their decision to buy. So to that end, I thank you all for learning a little bit more about our employee side. We've been doing employee measurement of feedback since we started, and custom one-off projects for franchisors that we've worked with on the franchisee side. And then in 2018, we've said, hey, doesn't it make sense for us to try and create some kind of standardized survey set like we do on the franchisee side, so that we could give the franchisors some information to benchmark against like we do on the franchise side, to give them context to what are the areas that they're doing well and where are those opportunities that they need to improve upon to have a stronger level of engagement and satisfaction from their current employees. So 2018, we started doing our standard work. In 2019, we put out our first Franchising at Work report, which is what I'll share some of the highlights today. But I think Katrina is going to send a follow-up email and you'll get the link to the full report if you want, which has much more detail. The idea today is to just share kind of a little bit about the work that we're doing and encourage you guys to participate if you're not asking for employee feedback. And I would also say, if you're not ready or willing to work with us too, I'm still happy to share our standard questions with you if that's something of interest to you, because it's better to even just start internally than do nothing at all. So the employee research is open to any corporate teams that have 10 franchisees or more. That's for suppliers, it's for franchisors, and it's for multi-unit franchisees. We do not currently do work for the franchisor measuring employee feedback from their franchisees' employees. It has to be franchisee driven. But we invite all to participate. The basic version on this side is not free except for multi-unit franchisees. We're offering the service to them for free. To franchisors and suppliers, though, the basic version is only $495. So I want to just be upfront that it's a little bit different than the franchisee side of the work we do. So we do this work, we send it out to the employees, and here is some of the areas that we're asking the questions about. So we're trying to measure both satisfaction and engagement. Again, happy to share the full list of questions if you guys want to take a look at those as well. But in the 2019 findings, what we wanted to kind of highlight is where are the areas that we're seeing the highest ratings from employees and where are the lowest rated areas? Where are those opportunities that we're seeing the most within the franchise industry? And where employers, I think one of the biggest challenge for any business owner is finding and retaining really great talent. These are things that we wanted to share with everybody to understand kind of what makes people happy in their day-to-day work, especially over this last year. The way that COVID changed the way that we work with our teams, the way that we communicate with them, understanding kind of what people need from us as leaders. Excuse me. So on the highest rated areas, the top rated score, my skills and experience are a good fit for my job. So that's right person, right seat on the bus. That's going well for most people. I enjoy the relationships I have with my coworkers. My job and the work that I do is rewarding and satisfying. My role and responsibilities are clear to me, and my company's goals, visions, and values are clear to me. So those are the 5 highest rated areas that came out. And again, this is the 2019 report. We start doing our work in Q1 and Q2. So we did start doing this in 2020 and had companies start asking the questions. And then with COVID, we really put a pause on everything because there was so much transition in how people were working and teams had to downsize. We just didn't put out a 2020 report, an aggregate report. And so we're picking it back up for 2021. So I just want to clarify why we're using 2019 data. So the lowest rated areas, the employees, where they rated the lowest, the lowest satisfaction. The lowest was, I am compensated fairly for my position. That was the lowest rated question. I see a long-term opportunity for my career. Senior management communicates clearly. I receive the recognition I deserve. And I receive the support I need to do my job well. So those were the lowest rated areas. So there's some contradictions between what you're seeing in the highest and the lowest as well. So making sure that the company's goals are clear, that's on the high side, but that the senior management communicates clearly is on the low side. That's the day-to-day communication of what's going on, what's happening. So just sharing those with you guys as well. When you do the basic version of our survey, this is the information that you get back on your company. So it's a good amount of information. You get your score in each of those areas. You don't get the open-ended feedback. We do have your employees participate anonymously, and then they can choose to put their name in if they want follow-up after the fact. But especially when it's small teams, what you're looking for is for employees to be able to give you open and honest feedback and not feel like there's any kind of concern about giving you that open and honest feedback. So it is important for that. So you get a score for each area, and then we give you the benchmarking information for this as well. So you can kind of see how that compares. What I wanted to do was to address some of those ways that you can hit some of those lower scores, or just the way that you support your teams in the way that we are kind of working through we're still kind of working through how the pandemic has changed our relationships and our businesses. So I think the first one is so simple, is just expressing gratitude for the team and the work you're doing. I think everyone was really impacted differently. And some of the people I talked to, their teams were working overtime and doing everything they could to really support the franchisees and making sure that their businesses stayed open. It was extremely scary. And so just taking that time to acknowledge their contribution to how you guys are working or what they're doing for you guys. Everyone loves to be recognized for their job. And that sometimes can go even further than the bump in pay. And where last year impacted teams, and if they're losing people, there's probably not a lot of room to bump people up. So just making sure that we recognize the work that's being done and the effort that's being put in can really do a lot for that relationship with your employees. I have lots of client examples to give you, but one company had used kind of a company staff meeting to pick a different person to call out, or you can have a box that allows other people on the staff to call each other out when they see something that they want to recognize. And so, just recognizing something that's above and beyond their job role or something they've done really well is just a great way to do that, or just notes as well, little handwritten notes. The second is to create an environment of learning. So providing employees with opportunities to learn helps them with their growth and development. So I think that this also can go to that lower score we saw where there's not opportunity for them to grow. FBR is a small company. We have about 12 people on staff. They all work really hard. We have a great team. But when I have people that I'm interviewing, if they ask the question on where's the room for growth, we're not going to ever be a 100-person company. That's not what our model is. So I'm upfront in what my role as a leader is to help them learn and develop as much as they can with us, and then to help support them in whatever that next journey is. So just thinking about ways that you can help them learn, and that's going to help you while they're with you. And also to having them attend conferences, and that's probably virtual this year, which makes it even more affordable. Paying for a membership to an association where they can learn or network with other people, or covering any kind of certifications helps them do their job with you, but also shows them that you're invested in their learning and their growth, whether that's with you or not. And I'm going to move through these a little quickly too. So again, I'll look at the chat when I just get through this, if there's any questions that you guys have. But the next on here is to support causes that matter to your employees. I think the first thing that we want to do is recognize that our younger employees that come to work with us, they care much more about the impact they're having on the world or your customers, or they want to know that they're doing good. And so giving them an opportunity to participate in a day of service, or to match contributions to a charity that they care about, it just shows that you're tuned in to the social issues that they care about, or how you can help support them through a business side. So sometimes we have a client that has run like internal contests, and the winner of the contest would get maybe a cash prize for themselves, or a cash donation to the charity of their choice. So it allows them to kind of step up with their personal passion that they care about supporting. write notes that goes up to the thank you. So it can be the thank you note. It can also be condolences. It can just be check-ins. This can be emails now and not just the written mail too. But a CEO recognizing someone for something they heard from another manager or from another employee. Again, it does go a long way, and that's above and beyond birthdays, anniversaries, condolences, things like that that are going on in their life. Providing flexibility. I think that especially this last year, we saw a lot of employers get more flexible than they've ever been before. And I would say, as we all try and figure out what does our business look like and our team look like post-COVID, thinking about what flexibility that they need after. I think it can reduce stress for a lot of people. If you have confidence in your team and you trust them that they're getting the work done when they're not with you, it's a great opportunity to be flexible and allow them to have that mix of working from home or being where they need to be when they have family or other obligations that they need to take care of, can really help them be more engaged when they are on the clock for you or just work around it. So I think that that's not going to go away. I think that's going to become more important, not just for the people that have gone through and have been juggling all this, but I think it's become more important for people to stay involved in the things that they're doing now. And so I think that will be a reason people stay at their jobs or look for another job more than just the financial piece of how they're being compensated. Acknowledging the mental toll. This has been a really tough year for most. Even if your business, if your franchisees are busy, it could put added stress on your team members. So I think taking a moment to not pretend that everything is rosy, to address that people are struggling through this time and feeling disconnected, can really go a long way to help them not feel so isolated. Giving them resources if they need help is a great thing to do. Giving them opportunities to provide or to connect with other people on the team, and not just in the work capacity, but social things that you can do, happy hours, things like that. Just making sure that you understand, or that they see that you understand that this has been a difficult time and people are really trying to show up for their family, for their companies, and acknowledging that can go a long way and make you seem much more open to the idea that I don't expect you to come in and work the way that you used to work. You can't necessarily put it all aside as easily as you used to be able to. I think that kind of goes along with the getting to know more about them. We're now seeing people in their homes on Zoom calls. I think the Zoom calls will continue post pandemic. And it's a great opportunity to see what their life is like outside of work and to ask questions and to get to know them as people and what they're doing outside of their business hours or their capacity as your employee. And that can also increase engagement and create more loyalty for them working for you. And then the increased methods of communication and transparency. It's not just about doing our survey or a survey to get that feedback, but it's also how you use the data and really sharing it back with them so that they feel heard and they understand how you're utilizing this data to make changes or to realign what their expectations are with your business. That can go a long way. They just feel more in the loop. They can see what their contribution is for your company, how they're helping support what your mission is or driving you forward, or the revenue goals. Just, I think, giving them the opportunity to see a little bit more of that and staying in touch with them more frequently and in more ways can be really impactful in just trying to drive their engagement. So, and I think this goes too for your franchisees with their employees too, just thinking about ways that it's not one size fits all, and what do they need from me and how can I communicate that with them that's easiest for them to see. So that's it for what I wanted to share to start with. And I'm happy to answer any questions. I see one that came through is sharing the deck. Happy to do that. And I'm also happy to share the questions from our standard employee survey as well. The 2019 report, if you download the whole thing, will have more about how many people participated. And it has more information as far as breaking out the scores that we see by role level, by gender, by age. So there's a lot more detail in it than I'm providing here. It's just to kind of give you a sense of the work that we're doing.
Great. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I think we might, let's see, we're having another question come in. Let me check here. So, got it. I have a question for you. You mentioned that it's for multi-unit franchisees. For multi-unit franchisees, it's free. But what if it's not a multi-unit franchisee? What if it's just a single unit franchisee that has a large staff for whatever reason?
That's a really good point, that they would be included. Yes. I don't know why I said multi-unit franchisees. Yeah. So anybody that has 10 employees, and again, I think these questions are great to ask informally or formally with staff smaller than that.
Yeah.
And I should say there's kind of two phases to the way that we collect this data. This first round that we go out is to get the franchisor or the franchisee with 10 employees or more to participate, so that they're encouraging people to answer these questions. They're looking at the data. That's our ideal scenario. But we actually, before we do the awards, we send out an open link to anybody in franchising to answer, and we have them put in the company that they work for. So if they had enough people participate without the brand's kind of acknowledgement or encouragement, we still collect that information to share in that benchmark sample. And if enough people participated and scores were high, that company could also still be an award winner. We still want to recognize the people that are doing things well, but that's kind of a second round that goes out after this initial push.
Okay. And when will that second round go out?
I think it's in April. We open it up.
Okay. So this round closes on March 31st.
Registration by March 31st, launch by April 1st, and then we'll put out the open link to anybody in franchising, whether you have 2 employees or 5, so that we can help get more aggregate data for the benchmarking side of it.
Okay, yeah, because it's a fairly new survey that you guys are good. And now I know this year you included franchisees and supplier partners as well, which I was really excited to see. Can you talk a little bit about the thinking behind that?
Yes. So I will tell you kind of I have a couple of personal missions that I think they do cross over into the work I do in the industry. There is a lot of transactions happening within our industry now, and everything is moving. Private equity is getting more involved. And I think I feel more comfortable now with 15 years of experience to say franchising is amazing. It's a great opportunity. It is a level playing field for anybody to be successful. And that's by gender, age, color of their skin. It does not matter if the brand is doing things the right way. I just keep seeing more and more bad players pop up that are focused on the wrong things or growing the wrong way. And it has become kind of my nudge to really get people asking the right questions so that these brands can't continue on doing things inappropriately. I think COVID helped shake some of that out. If you didn't have a strong brand before COVID, it certainly isn't going to come out stronger after the year that we went through, which is, I think, a good thing. But franchisees have the potential to lose everything. They've put everything into these businesses. And I think we have a responsibility as an industry to push people to do things appropriately. And Franchise Business Review doesn't share any of the data from the companies we work with that don't score well. And that is a conscious choice that we make. We don't want to call anyone out publicly. Our hope is that if they're working with us, even just with the free version, they care enough to ask the questions, and we're hoping that they're doing the right things behind the scenes to get better. But I think the real issue is the people that know that this is not a sustainable business, or it's not going to bring that franchisee a comfortable lifestyle or wealth, whatever they join your system for. So I think that's one reason it's important for us to do this work, to continue and to celebrate the suppliers that have great teams that are hiring and educating people that support the franchise industry appropriately. And then the other side is that I'm also chair of the Women's Franchise Committee for IFA. And since I have one more year left, and since I've taken on that role, I think it's important for me to help have more of the conversations about diversity and inclusivity in our industry. I think that we're doing more work trying to align more with the committees through IFA that are focused on that. But again, there's a lot of education that can be done to help support people as far as understanding what's available to them in this industry. And there's also an opportunity to support our franchisees that have employees that are going through a lot this year with all the social issues that are happening. And as I'd say middle-class white woman in my 40s, I think that it's my job to try and educate myself and to try and educate others in this industry that want to see better things happening for everybody in our country.
Yeah, love it. Thank you. Love that. And just so appreciate your passion behind all of that. We have a couple more questions, but before we sign off today, I want to make sure that we talk about the annual leadership, the IFA leadership event, right? I know we wanted to talk just a little bit about that.
Yeah,
Do you want to go to questions or do you want to go to that first?
I can do both. So
Okay.
for the IFA conference, it is virtual this year, the big annual convention that they do. They have gone virtual for that part, and the Women's Franchise Committee puts together the annual leadership conference that is a bonus session to that, and it comes on the front side of it. We have worked really hard to take that event, which is great in person, to the virtual world. We're keeping our case study, which people know and love. We have excellent leaders, and again, to kind of my push for diversity, we want speakers that you don't see speaking at every event on every stage. So you'll get to hear from some new leaders, not new to their leadership, but new people speaking, and get some ideas from some big brands, some brands that you know, and hopefully lots of learnings for all leaders of all levels. So I would encourage you guys, and I'll have you share that registration link too, but you do have to be registered for the full convention to attend the bonus session.
That's great. We've got a note from Danessa that says the annual leadership conference is one of my favorite parts of the IFA conference. Mine too, Danessa. Absolutely. I get as much value out of that afternoon as I do the whole rest of the conference.
Danessa sits on the WFC with me, so she can attest. It's one of the hardest working committees at IFA. I'll tell you, we do a lot.
That's great. Okay, let's go do our couple of questions.
Yeah.
Let me see. We've got the first one was, does the survey dig into benefits packages, i.e., what employees are looking for, employer contribution expectation?
Yeah, so it does have some. I don't know how in depth it goes. If that's and I'll share the questions with you, Danessa. I don't know if it goes down to the employer contribution piece of it or just what benefits are being offered. So there is some level of that. So yes, we do ask that. And you can customize it so we can go further, but you wouldn't have that benchmark information. And then the next question, as far as do we compare other firms that do employee satisfaction surveys? We don't, because we don't control the question set, and that you wouldn't really be able to compare the same questions that we're asking. And we also we distribute the survey work, so we know that that person is with that brand when we have the franchisor or the franchisee that's working with us is providing us with the list of those employees, so we can control who's answering for what brand and how many times they answer the survey. So we don't.
Got it. Thank you. And Craig, thank you for your comment. Craig says franchising is not an industry. Was that something that I said? I think that a lot of us say that it is an industry. Yeah,
it's not really a question. I mean, I guess that's his opinion. And my opinion is we have a responsibility as an industry to protect franchising and to protect the people that are within that industry. So I understand that the franchise model crosses several sectors,
right.
But I particularly see it as an industry that we are responsible for making sure that we're doing things right.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Michelle. I think that it, we call it the franchise industry all the time because what is the overarching terminology for us is an umbrella. So as a group of people who are all supporting the same unique business model and the same relationship model. So.
Yeah, and that's why it's regulated by an FDD. And that's why our franchise satisfaction awards are all only open to franchise companies, because I understand licensing and business development or distribution models, those are all similar, but we wanted to have something that was regulated by, have some kind of oversight so that we can compare everyone to each other.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I do not have any other questions. We are going to send a follow-up that'll have the link. It'll have the link to the IFA registration if you haven't registered for IFA's virtual conference and the franchise leadership, the Women's Franchise Leadership Conference. Please do that. It'll have the links that Michelle mentioned, including how to reach Michelle. and the downloads of the 2019 report. Anything you want to share in closing?
No, I always appreciate chatting with people in the franchise, whatever we want to call it. But yeah, I hope to see everyone at the IFA convention, and I actually hope that we all get to be back in person at least sometime before end of year. But until then, I'll take these web connections.
Yeah, right. It's certainly better than nothing. Thank you so much, Michelle.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate you taking the time to share this with our
Absolutely.
community.
Have a great day.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.